Hello everyone, it's me, Juan Gamer54, back in a video. Today, yes, we are back. We are back and we're going to be doing a reaction video on Film Theory, Part 2 of the Bill Cipher book. We already did Part 1, we did a reaction to that, so in case you guys missed it out, there will be a link in the description box below where you can watch Part 1. I really recommend you watch that one, just so you can understand where we're going from this. And yeah, I also have an announcement to make, but you know what? I figured since, we're at November now, I figured why as much. From now on, announcements will be made at the end of the video so we don't disturb the programming. Alright, so if you're interested about what I gotta say, well, just stick around for the last of the video. But for now, sit back, relax, and let's dive into it.
Book of Bill and its website ARG have told us exactly where the story of Gravity Falls is headed, and believe me, we are definitely getting more of this series. Gravity Falls
really?
will return, and today I'll tell you
We
exactly
are?
how that's gonna happen and why it hasn't been announced yet. It's just a matter of time, friends.
Oh yeah,
Hello,
bringing back my
Welcome
voice.
to Film Theory, the show where the secret code is subscribe. Friends, it's been a great year for theorists like us, in no small part thanks to the return of one of the classic OG theorist favorites, the Disney animated series Gravity Falls. In case you don't know, Gravity Falls was all about the twins Dipper and Mabel Pines as they visit their grunkle Stan in the mysterious town of Gravity Falls, Oregon, full of cryptids, monsters, and mysteries. It's a great show, ended far too soon, but now Disney and series creator Alex Hirsch have teamed up to release the Book of Bill, a best-selling book that acts as a memoir/soul-stealing contract for the show's main villain, Bill Cipher. In our last theory, we covered most of the Book of Bill's biggest secrets,
Again,
the puzzles
video
and
description
ciphers
down
and
below.
juicy lore, revealing that Bill has spent most of the last few years in an interdimensional therapy prison. But now, he's potentially flown the coop, and that's only the beginning. Hidden within the book was a link to a website called thisisnotawebsite.com, a hub for a massive ARG that's still ongoing. Yeah, it's still in the process of being solved, and I want to give a massive shout out to the theorists over at the Gravity Falls subreddit and Discord server who put a bunch of their blood, sweat, time, and tears into breaking all of this down. That community has done incredible work, and the master doc
Clap it up.
together compiling all of the puzzle solutions that they found has been invaluable for every theorist working on figuring this ARG out, myself included. So again, big props to them, and go join that community if you want to hop in yourself and be one of the first people to know when a new puzzle gets solved. But today, I wanted to take our own crack at breaking down this website, creating a digestible way to get everyone on the same page about what's going on. And I think doing so will show us that Disney has big plans for the Gravity Falls franchise. The Book of Bill and this ARG were an experiment, and it's been an unmitigated success. And by the end of this theory, I think I'm going to convince you that there's a whole lot more in store for Bill Cipher and the Pines family. Get out your code breakers, theorists. We're going deep on this one. Okay, so what exactly is thisisnotawebsite.com? Well, we talked about it very briefly in our previous theory, but hidden within the Book of Bill was this URL that was locked and prompted users to put in a password to enter. The solution for that password was in another puzzle in the Book of Bill, a magic eye puzzle that when looked at a very sheer angle read, need a password? Fine, I'll talk. It's the name of the eyeball doc. Elsewhere in the Book of Bill, there were random pages from a novel called The Great Gatsby, which talked about an eyeball doctor named T.J. Eckelberg. So put that name into the website and bam, the website unlocked and a whole new part of the Book of Bill ARG began. Gotta love the creative use of content that's recently fallen into the public domain. Bill's a thrifty one. When the website was first discovered and this password entered, there was just a countdown clock, and when that hit 0, nothing happened. We were just hit with a series of technical difficulty pages involving Seuss trying to get things working. If you clicked on Seuss, he'd even change up what he was saying, offering links to a full copy of The Great Gatsby and some Gravity Falls themed lo-fi. A lot of people thought that this was part of the ARG, and it might have been. However, Alex Hirsch quickly took to Twitter explaining that sometimes technical difficulties are just technical difficulties. If I were to guess, I don't think Alex, Disney, or anyone else expected the sheer amount of interest in this ARG, and things just weren't ready, or the website went down from the sheer amount of traffic that they were seeing. But eventually, those technical difficulties were ironed out, and the website relaunched, this time featuring a desk within the mystery shack complete with haunting music, ambient rain, and a glitchy computer just begging to be toyed with. A ton of the things on this desk are actually interactable. For example,
Really?
if you click on the Book of Bill here with the dagger in it, it'll open up the book and give us a note for Dipper written by Uncle Ford, telling us that he was mining the book for secrets before chucking it into a bottomless pit. That must have been the portal that let it end up in our reality, where Alex Hirsch got his hands on it and put Bill on the path to the bestsellers list. I guess that this also means that since the book is here in this website in the Mystery Shack, I suppose that this means that this canonically takes place before we get our copies of the book? Hopefully Time Baby isn't going to hunt us down for breaking the timeline.
Don't look at us. I didn't do
There are a few other
nothing.
treats hidden in this scene too, like
I also saw that my local Walmart has the Book of Bill. Trust me, I want to show it. I really do. I really want to do. But your boy is unfortunately broke, so I couldn't. I had to walk away. Had to put my head down and everything.
for instance, if you click on the Skull's golden
The
tooth,
Walk of Shame.
you're given one get-out-of-death-free coupon only for use in participating realities. And clicking on the bottle with the eyeball in it will give you a snapshot of the interdimensional portal. Dang, Bill was right. That was very difficult to say out loud. Regardless, this was another portal constructed by dolphins, but unfortunately for Bill, it didn't work out. Porpoises don't got no opposable thumbs. And finally, clicking the McGucket logo on the computer gives us a note left behind by Old Man McGucket. In case you need a refresher, this guy was a surprisingly big player in Gravity Falls. He was a hillbilly who was once a genius, but he voluntarily scrambled his brain after witnessing Bill's antics in the Nightmare Realm firsthand. And now it looks like his old computer is the key to solving this ARG. See, you can actually type words into this computer, and if it matches something in the computer's database, you're given a clue or an Easter egg.
How did I get inside this computer? How do I get out of here? Bill!
Oh, come on.
President Trump wants your help. Computer's database, you're given a clue
There we
or
go.
an Easter
Much
egg.
better.
How did I get inside this computer? How do I get out of here?
Bill!
Now, there's a lot of stuff you can type in here, but we're not going to be doing a comprehensive breakdown. If you're looking for that, there are tons of great videos here on YouTube from creators like Hannah Hyperfixates that do a great job of breaking it all down. So for us here today, we're just going to be focusing on a few key codes, and some that I just kind of thought were funny. Like, I'm not above entering Mabel up 11 million times and Mabelizing the whole lab. Just makes it feel more like home, you know? Plus, this is where you get Matt's cameo on the website, therefore making all of us theorists here canon in Gravity Falls.
Hello, Internet.
Matt!
Time. You're on your own. Good luck.
Just still blows my mind. So where do we even start here? Well, using McGucket's note as a jumping off point, there are a couple of passcodes we can try that are hidden in here. The one of most consequence is Goodnight Sally, and it starts us down a ridiculous rabbit hole. This code pulls up an image of a yellow graphic tee with Bill dancing while a church burns down in the background. Fun, but there's more hidden in this image than first meets the eye.
Bill
If you
would
zoom
do
in
that
on
eventually.
Bill's left shoe, the one that's outstretched, you may notice a series of small dots and dashes running along the edge of the shoe sole. This is, of course, Morse code, and it spells out Diona Rap. That's paranoid backwards. Then, if you type in Diona Rap to the computer, we get a conspiracy board that would make even Pepe Sylvia proud. There's a lot to take in here. Hints that Bill was involved with the Kennedy assassination, had links to inventor Nikola Tesla and Russian mystic Rasputin, was literally the iceberg that sank the Titanic, and is the reason that the Bermuda Triangle is so funky. Also, you just gotta love Bill's apparent belief that Doritos are a, quote, crude attempt at mockery. That one earned a legit guffaw from me. I love this page, but the reason we're talking about it today is that there's actually a
you
clever
afraid that
puzzle
I'm
hidden
eating your
here.
brothers?
All throughout the conspiracy board, you'll notice some strange groupings of letters. An OC here and EHT there. Well, if you find them all and put them all together, it makes the phrase Stad et Tenak. That's connect the dots backwards. Now, I'll admit I spent an embarrassingly long amount of time trying to connect the dots here on the page to actually make something work before I realized it's just another code. Type that backwards phrase into the website, and once again, you're given a treasure trove of new information. Are you sensing a pattern here? This gives us a chapter of a fictional book called Lesser Known American Cults, and tells us about ciphertologists, described as the first cult in history that was right. By possessing the body of snake oil salesman Silas Birchtree, Bill was able to build himself a following as he turned to the city of Orchard Lake, Kansas into Billville. Here, his followers started to build him a portal before the plan was foiled by a rebel named Emmeline Butternubbins. Yes, Butternubbins. I continue to be in awe of Hirsch's Cypher's ability to name things. Regardless,
Butter
this chapter
nubbins.
ends with a message hidden in Cypher's special alphabet. Translated, it reads, "You can't kill an idea." And typing that into the computer gives us a pamphlet for Cyphertologists. Now, this might just seem like the end of this particular rabbit hole, but just put a pin in that. We'll be back shortly.
All right.
Hey, what's this? If we type in Got Legends, we get the sponsor for today's episode, Game of Thrones
Oh,
Legends.
come on. I thought it was a
Nice
legit
crossovers
thing.
here.
Come
But for
on.
real, our friends at Game of Thrones Legends sent me a little surprise into the theory.
All right, we're
Another rabbit
back.
hole we can dive down involves us just typing in the word riddle. This brings up a screen that just asks us, would you like to play a game? Suddenly we are in Saw. Do you want to play a game? Of course,
Great.
you know us. We are absolutely up for this. If you type in yes to answer it, you're again asked a question. This time, what's McGucket's favorite soda? This answer is actually found back in the Book of Bill on the page depicting the nightmare that is McGucket's mind. In this tornado of awfulness, we can see a can of soda labeled Mountain Don't. I personally prefer Voltage or Baja Blast myself, but you know, personal preference.
Sure.
Type in Mountain Don't, and we're once again given another riddle. Oh boy. Yeah, all in all, there are about another dozen of these riddles, but eventually we're asked the question, Bill Cypher's lawyer? That might seem nonsensical, but this
Lawyer?
is actually where that pamphlet comes in. If you scour that thing, you'll see that Bill is represented by the law firm Caesar, Atbash, and Visionaire. All of those happen to be the names of 3 very popular code ciphers, so that's a fun Easter egg. Type those in, and you're asked who defeated Silas Birchtree. If you don't remember, that was the guy Bill took over to lead the Cyphertologists, and he was beaten by the hilariously named Emmeline Butternubbins. Type
Dang.
that last name in, and we're finally told we have earned a treat. Follow these instructions, and it'll actually download a zip file onto your computer called Bill's Files Do Not Open. You have
Okay.
to know every cybersecurity alarm in my head is going off right now, but come on, we gotta open this. Don't screw us, Disney. Thankfully, it's just a bunch of wallpapers, a reward for figuring out this ridiculously complex puzzle. And nothing else, right? Well, at this point, we'll see. It feels like everything in this website is part of a greater puzzle, from fun wallpapers to fake law firms on pamphlets. Now,
Yep.
speaking of fake law firms, we can actually summon Bill's very own lawyer and sign away our soul to him, and this starts us down another rabbit hole. Signing over our soul here will turn the flame of this candle blue, signaling that we're now part of Bill. But that's not the only change
dang
it
it.
makes. Now, we can interact with the knob on this computer, and doing so treats us to some unsettling audio coming out of the static. This is not our first rodeo, theorists. This is clearly some backwards audio, and it says...
Name, Bill. Someone is begging for help. Someone that Bill killed. Now, right away, this is cool because His
in
father?
the Book of Bill mentions that he can hear something going on in TV static. So now that
Maybe
we've
his
signed our
father,
soul
or
away
maybe
to him,
someone.
we can hear it too. We can also learn from another code here on the website that one of Bill's phobias is TV static, so he doesn't love how creepy this is. All in all, this is a neat touch and great character building for Bill, but it's also a huge deal for the story of Gravity Falls moving forward. See, in our last theory, we pointed out a section of the Book of Bill where clearly one of the souls that Bill had claimed was somehow using his power to influence the book, writing out pleas for help. Something similar is happening here, just on the website. Someone that Bill has killed is reaching out through this static after we've made our deal with Bill. But who? Well, we actually see them in multiple places throughout this book and this ARG. It's been one of the best secrets hidden in plain sight. See,
Really?
again, in that last theory, we pointed out that it was clear that not all of the writing in the book was done by Bill himself. Obviously, some of the other pages were done by other characters like Ford, but even some of the secret codes were from other characters, and we figured that was
Ones
the
that we
case
never
because
really
they were
saw in the show.
talking about Bill. We wondered if it was Jessie the Oracle, the character we identified as Bill's ex, and while that may partially be the case, she's clearly not the only one writing in this book. Like we said, obviously, pages from Journal 3 were written by Ford, and he also has some of his own codes hidden throughout the book, and a Viking named Olaf seems to be behind the writing in runes as well.
Olaf.
One of the strangest codes was the color block cipher, first deciphered by Reddit user JimBag777. Yeah, these things were a deep cut, but now we can figure out who wrote these. Huge shout outs to friend of the channel, Rim Games, for being the first person I saw put this together in his series all about the
I'll give you
Book
the
of Bill.
claps.
In his video solving much of thisisnotawebsite.com, he was able to figure out that the color block codes were coming from very specific people.
Oh, come on.
Introducing the Wendy's.
Bill's family and the rest of his race, the people of Euclidia. Yeah, the people that Bill admitted to killing in the book. The color block code is just their language. But how do we know this? Well, this is because of a few things. Firstly, one of the color code blocks refers to Bill as Little Billy and talks about his childhood. This was the same affectionate name that Bill's mom used for him, which we see in another color block code. Another color block code translates to some sort of eulogy for Euclidia, something that sounds like it would have been written by a Euclidean, while yet another points us to a Euclidean government agency. And just the cherry on top, when lightning flashes in the Mystery Shack, you can see the Latin phrase Vallis Cineris, or Valley of Ashes, written on the back wall. Typing that into the computer gives us a video of little baby Bill being held by his parents, who are obscured and consumed by TV static. And the voice we talked about earlier, it comes back.
Why did you do it?
This confirms that the voice we heard in the static were from the Euclideans, maybe even Bill's parents, thus why Bill is so terrified of static. Again, huge props to Remy for putting all of that together. Now, you might just think that this is some fun Easter egg, some backstory for Bill, but it's way more than that. This is the key to the future plot points of this series. The people Bill has killed are still in his head, and now with the knowledge that his parents and the other Euclideans are also passing messages along, that's huge. They're also still in his head, and they're the key to beating Bill. Yeah, you heard that right, and there's a ton of proof for this on the website. Like, if you type in Grunkle Stan into the computer multiple times, eventually it'll lead to a pop-up where you can ask Bill how Stan beat him. Clicking through the prompt repeatedly will twist the knife into Bill's ego, and eventually he'll break, revealing a series of increasingly staticky messages. They read, sometimes when I close my eye, I can still see, and then 4 messages in the various ciphers from the book. When translated, they read, through the eyes of everyone I've ever. Sometimes when I close my eye, I can still see through the eyes of everyone I've ever killed. That's what I bet the message ends as. Then Bill screams. He can't turn it off. That is his weakness. Plus, I've seen a lot of great evidence pointed out by the community that the major human historical figures that Bill talks about in the Book of Bill are also stuck in his head, and they're using Bill's powers against him, trying to warn other characters about Bill's future plans. And with our belief that Bill has once again escaped through the bird that landed on this statue, that is a pretty massive dangling plot thread to leave hanging and have a solution for in the text if they're never going to address it, which is precisely why they are going to address it. See, I believe that they're going to bring back Gravity Falls in a big way, all thanks to this little ARG and your
Season 3, Season 3, Season 3.
Evidence to prove this. First off, if you type Season 3 into the computer, it spits back out Season 2. Type that in and it gives you Season 1. But if you type that in, well, then it gives you Season -1, Anti-Gravity Falls. This is an absolute curveball, and it could mean a lot of things. Maybe this is a spinoff. Maybe it's some sort of new movie or video game or comic or something. But personally, I think it's pointing towards some sort of prequel series involving Stan or Ford. That's why it's Season -1. Alex has gone on record saying that he'd love to do more stories with Stan and Ford, and if he does that story, it needs to be its own book or series.
If I ever wanted to do something with this show more in a animated context, I'm keeping certain material for that. If I'm going to do some adventures with Stan and Ford, either they need their own book or their own miniseries.
But that's just one possibility. It's one I definitely think they're going to be exploring, but it's not the only one.
I would love to see the spin-off with Grunkle, Ford, and
involving all the souls trapped in Bill's head, like we worked out.
I would definitely watch like some sort of mini series with Grunkle Stan and Stanford. I really would love to see it. But I mean, like, alright, so Anti-Gravity Falls. So most definitely, it would most likely, if it's gonna ever happen, I feel like the structure would be, the A story would most likely revolve around, Stanford while being in Gravity Falls. We get to see more of his story. Like, maybe more in-depth in his, him fighting the gnomes, him fighting this and that. Basically, him finding the creatures that later on Dipper would found in the original. And in the B story, we would see more of Uncle Grunkle Stan's antics when he was young. Because, like, I'm pretty sure he's, at one point in the backstory, he said, "Just give me a few weeks, Rico. I'll have your money," as he was grabbing the baseball bat. Like, what did he mean by that? Like, how did he met Rico? That's what I'm just thinking, man. I'm just thinking, but the main point is like a more in depth of the relationship between Stanford and Bill.
Here today. My friend Ryder from Foot of a Ferret actually pitched that out in one of his own recent videos, and it does sound great. And really, I think a continuation of the show just makes sense. This is the same company that made X-Men 97 after all, and with other massive fan favorites from the mid-2010s like Regular Show and Adventure Time getting a ton of continuations and spin-offs, it just fits perfectly. So why? Why haven't they just announced it yet? Why hasn't there been any movement on this despite the massive fan interest in this series and some sort of revival? It's simple, friends. Alex Hirsch legally can't work on it right now. See,
what?
Back in 2018, Alex signed an agreement with Netflix to exclusively develop shows and movies for the streamer. And we know for a fact that he's still under this contract. In April of 2024, Alex did an interview on the channel Hannah Hyperfixates where he said,
I could probably talk Disney into a miniseries if I was out of my Netflix deal and I really wanted to.
If he could get out of his deal, he's still under contract to produce shows and movies for Netflix. Regardless, this quote was from before the Book of Bill released and was a smashing success, and you best believe that there's some real interest from everyone involved now in making this happen. Just recently at New York Comic-Con, Alex said that Disney were the ones that reached out asking him for another Gravity Falls story.
Disney reached out and asked if I had another Gravity Falls book kicking around in my brain.
And now, everyone involved realizes that there's a real hunger for more Gravity Falls content, all because of
Give
your
it to
excitement.
us.
You, me, we all made that happen. The only domino left to fall is getting Alex out of his Netflix deal, and I bet there are lawyers working their butts off to make that one happen. Maybe they need to get Bill's lawyers on this one, but hey, that's just a theory.
Disney! Netflix! Let Alex Hirsch release Gravity Falls 2, and my life is yours. I'm sorry, I had to pull out the Kratos, I'm sorry. It just feels too appropriate at that point. But, yeah, I would definitely give us season 2. Alright, come on. You gotta give us this. You gotta give us this. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe they'll try some sort of endgame level type series or something. Like, come on, Bill Cipher is too strong. And let's be honest, the gang only, Dipper, Mabel, and the crew only were able because of plot. And even if you do say it's not about the plot, okay, well, they still they were this close of losing, to say the least. Like, out of all the adventures that Dipper and Mabel had, that final battle, Weird Mageddon, that was the closest that they have. That was the closest of getting sent to the gulag. So they need to, because I think I know that Gravity Falls, I'm pretty sure that there was already, an episode. I don't know if that was in the previous video that we watched, or it was something with Mad Pat, but basically it was all about, Aquaphobia, what else? There was Owl House and all that, some sort of, Avengers Endgame. Just imagine a crossover between those shows, especially Gravity Falls with the Owl House. I do kind of see it. I do see it sometimes. But yeah, guys, that's basically the end of the video. So what do you guys think? I personally like it, and if we ever get a Gravity Falls renewal, you can bet that I want to watch it. As a matter of fact, throw in Spectacular Spider-Man. My man needs to shine. But before we end this video, my announcement. Alright, so what's my announcement? All I have to say is that through November and December, we are planning to get, a lot more stuff going on. Obviously, of course, basically the gaming aspect, it's still there. And we're trying to get our hands. We are trying to get, we're trying to talk things out. Me and my brother, to see what days we can possibly do gaming. When we have the ability, we have the way we can do it. But do expect that November we will be getting gaming back on the channel. Alright? Alright. Secondly, I will say that October wasn't going as planned, and I am going to, I do apologize for, how lackluster October was. But November, we're going to, make up all of it. We're going to make it up. The read-throughs, we expect that we're going to have the read-throughs be done and finished by year's end. So, Fazbear Frights and Tales from the Pizzaplex, yeah, we're trying to see if we can finish all that before 2025 even happens. And do expect that a lot of things are going to happen with the second channel. Especially with trying to get Gacha back online. And also one big project, which, I'm not gonna lie, we've been working in the background with this big project. And all I can say about it is that do expect it to at least pop off by next year. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much the announcement that I have. So be sure to subscribe so that way you never miss out a video. And be sure you subscribe to the second channel as well, Alex the Wolf, so that we can finally finish the read-throughs. This is Juan Gamer 54 signing off.